Hi everyone, my name is Dave, and welcome to Extra Credit, a video series where we take an unscripted look at topics related to local history and exploring that history. Okay, so before we get into today's episode, just a quick reminder to first of all visit my website. There's a link in the description. You're going to find all kinds of content on there related to the topics we take a look at in this video series. Also, please remember to follow me on social media. You'll find me on Facebook, you'll find me on Twitter, you'll find me on Instagram, and there's all kinds of content on there related to hikes and extra credit, and again, the things we take a look at in this series. And finally, if you haven't already done so, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. So hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. There's a lot of content that drops on this channel regularly, and by doing that, you'll get it much more quickly than you would if you have to wait for it to come out on social media. Now, we're outside finally for today's episode. We're actually braving the black flies. I do apologize. I'm kind of shooting a little bit into the sun, which is just right up there. So it's almost kind of got, I have to squint here because of the sun. And I'm sure you're seeing the black flies kind of buzzing around every once in a while. We get a little bit of a nice little breeze that kind of blows them away. All right. So today's episode is actually a follow-up to an episode that we did last year, and that episode was all about companions, and obviously you've seen that in the title of the video. So what's interesting about this is not only is it a sort of a follow-up, but there was kind of an inspiration to this video. And so I want to kind of first of all shout out to one of my viewers, Colin, who was the one that kind of suggested the idea for this. So if you don't kind of regularly watch my videos, not necessarily this series, the extra credit, but certainly my videos, my exploration videos, one of the things that you'll notice quite often is I do have a regular companion, and that is Luna. So my dog Luna, and both on YouTube and on social media, I often get a lot of comments from people who obviously love seeing Luna. They love seeing what she's kind of getting up to, and so in going back to the inspiration for this. In one of the videos that I posted, I think this was last year, I think Colin mentioned to me, and he said, wouldn't it be really awesome if you kind of strapped a camera onto Luna and kind of took a look at what she sees on your hikes? So, Colin, here you go. So what I did this winter, it did cost me a few bucks, and so you can see Luna kind of moving around here. I bought one of these, and so this is basically a dog harness for a GoPro. So essentially, how this works is that this is the kind of the part that goes on the back, and there's basically an attachment point for a GoPro. You can see kind of the little clamp here, and then this part kind of loops around their head. There's another attachment point, so this would kind of attach to their chest. I thought this one would kind of be kind of awkward. I thought kind of the back perspective would be a little bit better. And then essentially what happens is these straps loop around, and then there's, I don't know if I try to put this on the camera here. So basically like they kind of clip in like that. So there's one for each side, and then there's a larger strap that basically wraps around kind of their abdomen, and then attaches here as well. So basically, I picked this up, and I decided to give it a try. And so I kind of thought a lot about how I wanted to sort of approach this, and when I wanted to use this, and so um, I wasn't quite sure exactly, what would be the right sort of circumstance. And so what I decided to do is actually decided to kind of do it on a bunch of different times. And so for this episode, I actually recorded three separate segments, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Now, there was actually a few sort of logistical issues as Luna kind of brings me her toys and sort of wants to play here. So the first thing that I did was obviously there was a concern about protecting my camera. So I do have two GoPros, and so I decided to use my older GoPro simply because I do have kind of the armored housing for that GoPro. And so essentially what you do is you'd open it up, and basically this is designed for, I think GoPros are, as a black fly just flies in my ear. designed for kind of deep water immersion. And so you kind of put the GoPro in there. And so I decided to do that just simply because I figured Luna would be kind of hard on the camera and I didn't want it to kind of get damaged. So I put it in here. The only drawback with using the armored casing like this is it does muffle the sound. And so it's a little bit more difficult to hear the audio. And you'll hear me sometimes on the video clips simply because I'm close enough. But you kind of hear almost kind of like this. Again, it's I don't know how to describe it other than sort of a very muffled sort of sound. So you'll notice that as well. Now, one of the drawbacks of this harness when I was kind of researching and finding this. So this is the actual GoPro brand, and there are kind of other brands as well. There's other manufacturers as well. One of the things I read in the reviews was that people had issues with the harness coming loose, and so basically there's where the attachment points are. It's just simply a little bit of a buckle here. And so people did complain that it would get loose and the camera would slip down. And so one of the things I found is as I was shooting the episodes, it was a little bit of sort of trial and error. And I did find in the very first sort of time that I used it, it did come loose, and it did slide down on the one side on Luna, and so it did take a kind of little bit of fiddling around. And so what I finally ended up doing was I ended up kind of tying knots in the straps, so basically they wouldn't loosen, so they would stay in place. Now, the only unfortunate part about that was that by doing that, obviously the harness would sit very, very tight. Man, these black flies are terrible. Would sit very, very tight on her, and obviously it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable for Luna. And I actually found that after that first time, she did get a little bit of chafing underneath kind of her. I was kind of just petting her, and I kind of noticed that she had a couple little spots under her, her front legs here that I guess the straps had rubbed. And so I know, for example, the first episode that I shot, I did film a lot of time. I think I filmed like an hour with Luna with the harness on, and then in subsequent episodes, I decided to limit the time that she was actually wearing the harness. So again, she's not very crazy about wearing it, and again, obviously, it's not particularly comfortable. It seems like it limits her mobility a little bit. So that was kind of a little bit of an issue. Now, the other thing I found was that GoPro cameras are great. The stabilization is great, but the stabilization works really well kind of in the up and down axis. What I found was wearing it on her back, the harness tends to do this. And the GoPro has a very difficult time trying to sort of stabilize that. And so one of the things you'll find is in the video clips, and holy moly, the wind went down here and the black flies are all over the place. And, Luna's kind of sniffing the strap here. I found that it's very, very shaky. It has a very difficult time trying to compensate for that side to side shake. And basically, I for this episode, I tried to sort of pick some of the clips where, there's not as much shake. And I know for future episodes, for future little segments I'm going to try to record with this, we're going to try to do things where she's not kind of moving as quickly, because that tends to eliminate a lot of the shake. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to show you some clips from those videos that we shot on those 3 separate explorations, and so you can kind of see things from Luna's perspective. established what's called a re-read series. So what they All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, not necessarily the best audio, not necessarily the best video. Again, at times very, very shaky, and Luna's rolling on the ground and she's smashing into things, and again, it was kind of a little bit of sort of trial and error trying to figure it out. Now, as I was sort of putting this together, I ended up having three separate sets of video that I recorded. And I was kind of thinking about, like, what do I do with it? Because I mean, you've just seen kind of little snippets, from these three different explorations. And I thought to myself, well, I have all this other footage. What do I want to do with it? And so what I decided to do, and some of you really like this because some of you really like to see what Luna's up to, I decided to turn that footage into full length episodes. And so what I did was I basically took all of the footage, and it's just basically minimally edited. So I just basically, put some transitions in where, one clip goes into the next, and that was about it. And so I decided to give Luna her own series. And so I decided to call it Luna's Offbeat Adventures, obviously playing off of my own video series, Offbeat Adventures. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually show you the intro, give you a little teaser here to Luna's Offbeat Adventures. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to, in the coming weeks, is you're going to be able to see some of those episodes of the unedited footage. So we're going to take a look at the intro right now. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gets your appetite going to see these videos. Again, they're nothing spectacular. Again, it's just raw, unedited footage of Luna kind of moving around. You're going to see her kind of going, at times kind of going along the shore, having a drink, going through the trees. The camera getting knocked vertically because she's smashed into a branch, or she's rolling on the ground, or the best ones are when she's coming, following behind me, and particularly on the bike, and the camera is shaking this way. Or the one episode you're going to see, we were in Jellicoe, and she's following behind me, and you get a lot of shots of my behind, because that's what she's basically looking at the entire time. So right now I have 3 episodes that I'm going to be putting up, and as time permits, I'm going to be turning on the Luna cam from time to time, as she kind of fidgets here, and tries to get away from the black flies. So again, because of the issues with the camera shake, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to record more of the Lunacam episodes when we're kind of in one spot, or we're not kind of moving around as much, simply because it's just very difficult to watch that sort of bike footage where she's where she's kind of moving around, and she's moving very quickly, and again, it's very hard to watch. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. You've enjoyed watching Luna at work, and seeing what she sees. Again, as I mentioned, we will be, as time permits, filming more episodes of what Luna sees, and again, I will be putting those up on the channel. So we're going to be back next month with another episode, and hopefully you're looking forward to seeing that. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in, and take care.